Hello, my name is Suad, and I would like to tell you a true story of my life. As the stepdaughter of Leija Sanchez, one of the founders of the Mexican crime family in the United States, the Leija Sanchez organization, they manufacture and sell counterfeit documents such as driver's licenses, state ID, resident alien card, social security, Mexican and American passport, auto insurance ID, utility bills, company IDs, and Mexican national ID. They also move drugs and human smuggling. This is a terrorist organization. They have been in business since the late 80s. They now have business in 33 states and about 15 American cities. They make about $300 million a year. This story is also about national security and terrorism. My grandfather, my dad, told me in a meeting in Mexico City, December 2005, after my stepfather was arrested, in answer to a question asked by my husband, who I will discuss later. Do these documents get sold to terrorists in the United States? My grandfather and my uncle Jose Luis laughed and said, terrorism is an American problem, not a Mexican problem. This is all about the money. In 1987, I was 3 years old when I was moved from Mexico City to Los Angeles. My stepfather, my mother, Pedro Castorena, and his wife, we all lived together as the business started and grew. 1991, both families moved to Chicago and lived together for a short while. Other members of both families came from Mexico to help grow the business. I went to a Catholic school. My sister was born and a lot was going on around us. I had a new sister and 2 Polish bodyguards. Manuel would not let any worker or Mexican around his family. My job was to count the money and put it in envelopes of $1,000, $2,000, and $5,000. I was paid $50 a week, and I think that's pretty good for a kid. During this year, Pedro and my stepfather set up businesses in Denver, Las Vegas, New York, Miami, Houston, and Atlanta. Pedro Castorena and his family moved to Denver and Los Angeles as their base of operation. My family took Chicago as their base of operations. The family are godparents to each other's children. In the winter of 1996, I was 11 years old, and I was getting ready for school when the door was crashed in, and about 15 FBI agents came in with their guns out. They were yelling for Leija. My mother and my little sister were asleep. They were brought to the kitchen, and my sister was scared and crying. The FBI took us to their office in a building in downtown Chicago. They kept us separated. My sister was crying and yelling for me. The FBI told me that if I did not say where Leija was, I would never see my sister or my mother again. I told them I did not know, that he was a salesman and he went out of town a lot. I found out later that he knew what was going to happen, and he left to Monterrey, Mexico with Pedro Castorena. Someone had called the FBI. The FBI let us go around 7 p.m. When we got home, 3 white vans were waiting for us with 3 close bodyguards. All 3 vans left the garage around midnight. The van with my mother, my sister, and me drove to Laredo, where our drivers changed with another driver named Guillo. Guillo is the nephew of Raul, the family human smuggler. Guillo drove us to a beautiful hotel in Monterrey, Mexico, where we were met by my stepfather and Pedro Castorena. All around us were the Monterrey Mafia, who were in business with our family. After a few days, we drove to Mexico City, to the family compound. For these 3 years, I went to a Catholic school, while a lot of business went on. My mother and Manuel would always go back to the United States, along with more of my uncles and more of Pedro Castorena's brothers and sisters, to control the new cities they had to expand it to. During this time, one of the songs out in Mexico was Jefe de Jefes by Los Tigres del Norte, which my father considered himself boss of bosses. And because they were also in the drug business, Manuel would get high and drunk, and he would beat up my mother and me. And as I grew older, my mother was afraid of Manuel and how he looked at me. My mother moved me to her sister in Nicaragua. My mother and my little sister moved to Nicaragua in 2001, after Manuel was going to kill her. He blamed her for the Chicago problem, Pedro stopped him, and they agreed to send her to Nicaragua. This story is of 4 parts, so the next part will be out very soon. And please view our videos of document purchases at one of our locations in Chicago, so you can understand how the business works and perhaps you could recognize one in your community. Thank you.